On March 21st, the Wall Street Journal wrote for the first time that Putin's army had adjusted its strategy and instead of capturing new territories was moving on to the siege of Ukrainian cities. It was Plan A, which envisaged the seizure of Kyiv in 3 days, and the change of power in Ukraine to one that would agree to all the conditions of the Kremlin. The plan failed after the retreat of the Russian army from the capital of Ukraine in late March, early April.
The operation to capture Kyiv was poorly thought out. It was all based on an attempt to take the Hostomel airfield and throw in landing forces through it, which also failed accordingly. Everything was not prepared. I think that no one from the Russian military leadership did not fully believe that Putin would give such orders. How obvious the disparity between the available forces was to the tasks being solved.
Having failed to achieve the planned blitzkrieg in Ukraine, Russia began to switch to Plan B. It meant a large-scale offensive in the Donetsk region and in the south. The plan did not work due to the large-scale counteroffensive of Ukrainian troops. On the 240th day of active hostilities, Russia lost more than 66,000 personnel and occupied territories in the Kharkiv region. The counteroffensive continues, the Ukrainian army, having liberated Liman and Svyatogirsk in the Donetsk region, is moving forward.
During the day, units of the defense forces repelled the attacks of the occupiers in the areas of settlements of Bilohorivka, Luhansk region, Bakhmut, Bakhmutske, Kleshchiivka, Krasnohorivka, Novomykhailivka, Nevelske, Opytne and Marinka of the Donetsk region.
After the explosion on the Crimean Bridge on October 8, the Kremlin's rhetoric changed again. The Russian propaganda media began to use the narrative of a terrorist attack by the Ukrainian special services. On October 10th, massive missile strikes were carried out on many critical infrastructure facilities in Ukraine. Putin attributed this to Russia's harsh response.
To leave crimes of this kind unanswered is simply impossible. This morning, at the suggestion of the Ministry of Defense, and according to the General Staff of the Russia's plan, a massive strike was carried out with precision weapons, long-range air, sea and land-based facilities at energy, military command and communications in Ukraine.
The main purpose of such strikes is to frighten the population of Ukraine and, at their request, to make the Ukrainian government start negotiations with Russia. According to Ilya Ponomaryov, this is what the Kremlin is focusing on right now.
He has hopes that the Ukrainians will surrender or the West will split, and he uses everything possible for this. For the Ukrainians, this is primarily energy infrastructure, which means that the nuclear story is such blackmail, like hold on and do not engage in the offensive. But it's already clear that it's not working. So the focus is more on infrastructure, and for the West it's deterrence, so that the West is not too active within terms of arms supplies to Ukraine.
As for nuclear blackmail, Ukraine's Western allies call Putin's threats reckless desperation amid military defeats. According to British Chief of the Defense Staff Tony Radakin, despite the nuclear rhetoric of the Russian president, support for Ukraine will continue.
He has few options left, hence the nuclear rhetoric. And while this is worrying and deeply irresponsible, it is a sign of weakness, which is precisely why the international community needs to remain strong and united.
Western experts and Ukrainian analysts are inclined to believe that the Kremlin most likely does not have a realistic scenario for getting out of the war it has started. Attempts will be made on a situational basis to implement elements of all previous and current plans, from a new attempt to capture Kyiv to an intensification of rocket terror on Ukrainian cities. However, no one has an answer to the question of what will happen if the blackmail does not work and there are no resources left to raise the degree. Reported by Serhiy Kulyas, Natalia Belokudrya, UATV News.